This video is about truth, ego, and energy healing. Truth resides along a spectrum from non-changing truth that is embedded in the absolute eternal field of being to changing truth that rises up into the manifest field to accommodate various situations and circumstances, levels of density, etc. There are laws of nature that govern the way absolute non-changing truth changes to show up at the material level of creation. These laws are overseen by Manu. Manu is a Vedic term that describes that aspect of consciousness responsible for all the laws of nature. All the laws, all the rules, all the boundaries and limitations that constrain the material world and allow it to show up the way it does. The beauty of the Vedic language is that every word in Sanskrit contains the exact combination of consonants and vowels that create the energy frequency that describe the thing that the word is meant to represent. So we're going to look at Manu a little bit. For a minute, we can look at Manu. Just analyze the sounds. M, ah, n, u. And see how these sounds work together to build a scaffolding upon which the understanding of all the laws of nature reside. Right? Because it can seem like, okay, it's possible to have the experience of unbounded, eternal being. That's easy, non-changing truth. And we experience life in the relative, but it's very complex. So we could say, well, the way the truth shows up at the surface, like how can we possibly understand all the laws of nature responsible for causing the truth to show up at certain ways at certain times? But let's just look at Manu. The first sound is m. 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 M represents the hum of the universe. And the hum of the universe is an expression of all that is manifest. So essentially this word begins at the manifest level. The hum actually begins in the unmanifest level of creation, and it resonates out of divine being, and it gives rise to the whole manifest creation. But is the hum that represents the whole manifest creation. It's very big. It's as if you were listening to a bustling city from a distance or something like that. We listen to the whole universe, and there's a hum in our universe. Ma brings back to ah, and ma is the inward stroke of consciousness as it moves from the surface of creation back to the source of creation. There is a reflection from the surface of creation to the source of creation. And this reflection is super important because it's the virtue of this reflection allows wholeness or totality, the source of creation, to determine how it will strike next. Right? So the source of creation creates the creation, and then there's a reflection back to the source of creation. And the source of creation looks at the reflection and says, is it a perfect reflection of me or not? And likely not, because how can something with qualities actually perfectly reflect qualitylessness? Well, it can't exactly. And so this is part of the paradox that sort of drives the manifesting process. So Ma is the reflection of the whole universe, onto the mirror or onto the home or the heart of the creative process. Ma goes from everything that exists to the source of everything that exists. And when it comes to the laws of nature, what does it see? It sees that in order to create the creation, we have to negate, to a certain degree, we have to negate wholeness. Because in order for the diverse universe to show up as a diverse structure, the sort of uniformity of totality, of wholeness, has to break apart, or at least it has to appear to break apart into pieces. So you have like an eye here and hair over here, right? So you have different pieces and parts. So the negation element is represented by na. So we have ma, reflecting the hum of the universe, reflecting back to wholeness, ma. And then na is the negation of wholeness in order to present itself as all these laws of nature, as all the laws. And then, and this is the beauty of this word Manu, is the U at the end of Manu is basically a modified ah. Because ah and all the vowels are open mouth sounds, right? Ah is the biggest, most open, complete openness. Ah, there's nothing closing, there's no modification to it, it's just full open. That's why ah represents wholeness or totality. But oo is interesting because it's still a vowel, so it still represents wholeness or totality, but it represents wholeness and totality as it shows up at the surface of creation. Because if you look at the way the mouth is structured, ah is way back in the throat. And then all the other vowels are up in the mouth somewhere. I, oo. And you get to oo. When you get to ooh, it's right at the front. It's the most manifest, it's the most at the surface form that ah can take, that a vowel sound can take. Ooh, it's right up here, right at the very, very front of the mouth. So ma reflects the hum of the universe back to the source of creation. And then the laws of nature negate the wholeness. They have to break the wholeness apart in order for it to come to the surface. But wholeness is contained even at the surface. Manu. When we say nu, nu is the negation of wholeness, but with totality contained within it. So the principle here is that the laws of nature are present to create a form that allows totality or wholeness to exist within the manifest field of creation, to exist within the field of boundaries. It allows boundlessness to exist within boundaries. And our role as human beings is to show up at this manifest level of creation and find the wholeness that's here within the boundaries. Our awareness dives into the gaps. Every gap between every thought, every gap between every breath, every gap that exists is a place where totality or wholeness resides within the constraints or the boundaries or limitations of the manifest field of creation. So may you find Manu within your own consciousness. May you appreciate this structure responsible for the laws of nature, for the laws by which the universe functions, and use it as a tool to help conscience so that choices are made that are aligned with evolution, to help ego so that your sense of self identifies with totality or wholeness, and to help and support the healing process, which is essentially a byproduct of all the thoughts and feelings and impulses of intelligence and creativity that flow through the physiology, folding back into the physiology, into the physical form, to nurture and support and uplift the physiology. And all those thoughts, feelings, impulses of intelligence, etc., are based on who you know yourself to be, ego, sense of self. So, sense of self shows up as an expression of the laws of nature at their best. And as a result, that supports the ability to think and act and function in a way that continuously aligns you more and more precisely with the divine source of creation. If every change, the relative is always changing, right? So if we can position ourselves in such a way that every change supports evolution, then the changes that show up at a physiological level will also be supportive of the full potential of the physiology to enjoy highest health. All right, thank you for joining me for this video. See you next time.